Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Juice Box. I am Juice Springsteen. Here on this Friday, September 20th, we are so close to fall. It's only a day away. And this is the best time of year, at least weather-wise, for me personally. I really enjoy this time of year. We got a lot of great wrestling to discuss today and this week. A lot of news and notes throughout the week that was in pro wrestling. Got a couple of programming notes and of a lot of other things to get to today. It'll be more of a hodgepodge. We will have Ask Juice at the end of the show as well, so stick around to hear that. But as always, follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen. Follow me on Instagram at Juicy Wrestling Closet. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast on YouTube at JuicySteen, where only thus far we've had one video pod, which was the All Out prediction show with yours truly and Andrew Baydala. But we're going to have some more as time moves forward. Hopefully some more prediction shows, some more SIP series, done by video. We're going to try out a lot of different things throughout this next year. We're going to just keep trying. We're almost to the back end here, the fourth quarter, if you will, of 2024. And here at the Juice Box, we started in January of 2023. We're going to continue to try to innovate and just grow and do new things, try out new things, different formats, different guests, different hosts, by way of if we do a triple threat theater. I've got a couple different guys. We got the Josh Cross, Donnie group. We've got L Squared, Loper and Lucas. I'm sure they're going to be involved with the triple threat theater. I think triple threat theater 6 should be hopefully happening and airing towards Survivor Series time. But I really haven't even, that's breaking news to those guys as they listen to the pod. So we will definitely get in to discussing what we have on tap for the next triple threat theater. But like I said, a lot of stuff in the hopper for show ideas, episode ideas. I have a really unique concept of an episode I'd like to record. It'll be in the can until I feel like it's apropos to post it. But I've been wanting to do a episode purely on 5 wrestling shows or events that define my fandom, as it were. And I think they're going to be pretty interesting. It happened to be 5. It wasn't like I wanted to find this out, but when I really look back, there's truly 5 events that I recall either watching all the time or they came to me at certain points, and I'm going to talk about all of them in a future episode. So that's something I'm wanting to do. But back to where you can find the show, The Juice Box on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, juicysteen.podbean.com, and of course on Spotify and YouTube, like I said. And if you do listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via iTunes, if you can rate and review the show 5 straws, that would be great. Of course, the straws mean stars here on the Juice Box. But let's dive right in. Let's throw that straw in to the Juice Box this week. We've got a lot of different notes. So let's talk about programming specifically for the Juice Box. If you listened back this past Wednesday, we had Main Event Maniacs. This was, we had their successful pilot episode, just kind of discussing what they were really going to do. And then we really dove in. And the first episode, truly for MEM, was Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3. And I felt that episode was a strong one. And I was thrilled to hear Brian and Jay go over arguably the biggest main event in the history of pro wrestling. But this past Wednesday was the first of a 2-part special series for Main Event Maniacs, covering Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, the two-match saga. This first week was part 1, WrestleMania 39, LA, where it did not happen. The story was not finished. Cody Rhodes was unsuccessful at dethroning Roman Reigns, but never fear, next week, part 2, finishing the story. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Main Event Maniacs, WrestleMania 40, Philadelphia, featuring Brian and Jay. Shout out to those guys for putting out some great work. They came to me with this proposal of an idea for a show in the network. Now I'm calling it a network because we've got a whole slew of different material that we're putting forth out there. But in regards to that, I've known these guys for a long time. I know they're very capable of putting out a lot of great work, because they always do, really, whenever they do. I know Jay's got the film strip pod, of course. I know Brian still dabbles in recording music and what have you. So always really in the realm of entertainment, which is awesome to see. And, they killed it on the Hogan Andre episode. And absolutely on these 2 Cody Roman episodes, I felt they really dove in, like we do here on the Juice Box every week. But specifically into these main events, the nitty-gritty, the before, the during, what happened after. And I'm looking forward to the future episodes. Again, any main event in any company, pay-per-view, PLE, whatever, is up for grabs and is available to be discussed. So shout out to the Main Event Maniacs guys for their contributions to the Juice Box. The SIP series we will be doing a SIP series recording actually later on in regards to when I'm recording this show. And I'm not going to say who it is yet, but it will be in the can for a future date, probably syncing up whenever I am on their show next. So I don't know when that's going to be, but a future SIP series will be recorded later on this evening. So you should be on bated breath waiting for that episode to eventually get announced and come in through the feed. Let's talk news and notes before we get into the nitty-gritty. We'll do news and notes, kind of splashing around a bunch of different stuff. And then, of course, we will dive into, I think we'll just tap into WWE a little bit of an update on what Bad Blood has, upcoming. And we'll preview SmackDown before we go into, next week is AEW Grand Slam. I think this is their 4th one. And we'll discuss that before we go into Ask Juice, of course, to close out the show, which, always love doing Ask Juice here on the program. Everybody in Wrestling Nation coming in for some good questions. Always a fun time answering those guys' questions. So let's get into some news. For sure, probably the biggest news this week, at least for the WWE side. There's a couple news items, but Saturday night's main event with the theme from Animotion, Obsession, I believe the song is called, is coming back on Long Island. Shout out Andrew Baydala for constantly trying to correct every single person on Twitter for saying in Long Island when it is on Long Island, even though the show is taking place in the city of Long Island, New York, on the actual physical island. So, tomato, both are correct as long as you have the standards and, everything. If you're talking about the island, you're on it. But if you're talking about the city, you're in it. But Saturday night's main event, a staple of WWE programming from 85 to 92, even though that last one in 92 was on Fox and not NBC. And then, of course, it got revived in 2006 through 2008, which I really enjoyed. I as a 13-year-old watching the Saturday night's main event in 06, like a couple weeks before WrestleMania, and it was at WrestleMania, it was going to be Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon in a street fight, but you got Shane McMahon versus Shawn Michaels in a street fight just weeks beforehand. We got a crazy suplex off of a ladder through some tables. A lot of fun stuff had on that particular first revival of Saturday Night's Main Event, and I was thrilled that it got brought back. Kind of fell off the face of the earth as time progressed on, I would say. Just in the realm of, it wasn't a standard. Like it was just like a throwaway show where, you know, things would happen, but it really wasn't promoted as such a huge deal in the WWE Pantheon. But, you know, they announced, it was a couple weeks ago, I think it was WrestleVotes had it out on Twitter. And they said, hey, we don't know when, we don't really know where, but tickets are going to go on sale soon for a future Saturday night primetime show. It's going to be on NBC, and it looked to be Saturday Night's Main Event. Lo and behold, it is. And like I said, December 14th on Long Island, Nassau Coliseum, one of the oldest throwback buildings you could have for a show like this. I think it's 8 p.m. It should be 2 hours. It's going to be on NBC and simulcast on Peacock, which is pretty cool to have the reach, you know, for both the streaming service and the actual NBC channel. I love that it's a couple of weeks away from the debut of Raw on Netflix, so you get a lot of hype getting into that, and you probably will be setting up potential stories or matches for that Netflix show from this Saturday Night's Main Event. And I'm curious, are we going to get Cody Roman 3? Are we going to get a world title match at all? What is in store here? I think it's 2 weeks removed from Survivor Series, so you could get, you know, a Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu one-on-one match here. I think there's a lot in play, again, depending on what happens at Survivor Series November 30th in Vancouver, British Columbia. The other news, so we talked about Raw going 2 hours, you know, before it goes to before it moves from USA to Netflix. Raw will be 2 hours from October 7th to December 30th. And then once it's on Netflix, it will be somewhere around 2 to 3 hours. It could be 2:45, it could be 2:30, it could be the full 3. They're going to play with that, I would wager, to get the maximum amount of stuff on the show, mixed with, you know, any sort of commercial they want to throw in. I don't know how they're going to parlay that with ads and Netflix. Netflix having Raw is going to be a wild, wild scene, so I cannot wait for that first episode. It's going to be unbelievable. We also don't know where it's taking place. That is something I'm really curious to see. Could it be a stadium? We've had Justin LeBar from Busted Open Radio on this show saying, hey, it could very well be in a stadium. And why not? You know, they could do it. They absolutely could do it. I think they'll try for a bigger arena and sell it out. But we'll see what they want to do, especially with what matches they have. Who knows? But so with that happening, SmackDown in January, when Raw goes to Netflix, will be going to 3 hours. SmackDown will be 3 hours in January on the USA Network. Once again, Andrew Baydala was on this show for the All Out predictions a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned how Raw could go to 2 hours soon, and that's going to happen. And of course, it'll bounce between 2 and 3 on Netflix. He said that, and he also said, I would not be shocked if SmackDown goes to 3 hours in January. And it will happen, likely because, you know, USA drops Raw, and it's going to go to Netflix, and they still have a 3 hour block. Why not extend SmackDown and give it that 3 hours? I'm kind of torn. SmackDown's amazing at 2 hours. It's quick, it's concise, it spreads the roster out pretty well, and it's pretty digestible, like I hope this podcast is to some of you. But 3 hours can be a drag. It can be a slog. We've seen it before. We've done it with Raw for how long? However, Raw has kind of turned the corner in the last couple of years, being 3 hours, but that's because the talent is at a high level and everything is just firing on all cylinders. So ideally, 3 hours will maybe help maybe some roster spots elevate themselves and get promoted more and get some new opportunities for some talent that might not normally get one with an extra hour. I hope it's not a drag. I think it'll be fine. But it's interesting. It's fascinating. 3 hour SmackDown, 2 hour Raw soon, and then pretty much another 3 hours on Netflix once we hit January. Of course, the first episode of SmackDown on USA Network had some controversy, if you'd like to call it that. The new theme song, which was performed by one of the members of BTS and Megan Thee Stallion, was received kind of half and half by everybody. There were people like me who realize, hey, wrestling, is just whatever is going on in the world. It's apropos to potentially have, if your wrestling show is going to be around, it's going to have a theme song. It should try to play with what is current, what the demo is, what is moving forward in regards to popularity. And even though I say that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be a rock song. They had AC/DC before. They've had a lot of different things through all these shows. I mean, Raw had Burn It to the Ground, Nickelback, To Be Loved, Papa Roach. Some of these songs that they've gone back and forth with. I know Wale did the NXT theme song for a while, so this is not the first time a rap song has been placed as the theme. But there's a lot of people out there who don't think like me and go, well, it's not rock. This isn't wrestling. This is trash. And it's just like, either you don't like this type of music, and I'd rather you just admit that than try to say, well, this isn't wrestling. Like, I think it's whatever it wants to be. And Megan Thee Stallion could have easily been a part of, a couple of different incarnations of AEW programming or WWE programming, and I think that'll eventually, be on the table. It's just an easy crossover, The thing that I don't like is that the notion that rap has no place in pro wrestling when, it's all over pro wrestling. I don't have to tell you. There's been samples of WWE promos in rap songs. For instance, I know Trippie Redd has a song called Fully Loaded, which literally samples the Fully Loaded 99 promo with The Undertaker. That's wonderful. Of course, Ric Flair Drip, which was Metro Boomin, Offset. Rap has just been... The Insane Clown Posse was on both WWE and WCW programming. Of course, rap is crap. So if you're a West Texas redneck fan, you might agree with some of those out there that say that rap is really not for wrestling, but I just vehemently disagree. I also think people ignore some things like, 3-6 Mafia rapping Mark Henry's awesome entrance on an episode of SmackDown in 2006, somewhere like that. It goes with the territory. I think all music has a spot in pro wrestling. It's supposed to be a buffet, something for everybody. And if the theme song is the only thing you're not liking about a show, maybe just wait until the show starts and then turn it on, because the theme music is what it is, and it's not going to change for a while. So get over yourselves and deal with it. Some other news and notes. Contract news. It seems that the Lucha Bros are indeed WWE bound. Now, it also has been reported that they will go straight to Raw or SmackDown, quote unquote, the main roster. However, I've said it before, other teams, such as Motor City Machine Guns, I don't think it would be a demotion if they were to go to NXT, and I don't think Lucha Brothers would be demoted going to NXT. However, the Lucha Bros have more upside. They're younger than the Motor City Machine Guns. And damn it, they would be the most marketable tag team that WWE has had in a very long time. Based off of royalties, licensing, action figures, replica masks alone, the Lucha Bros will have such a high ceiling when it comes to revenue and just making money hand over fist outside of how great their matches are going to be. And that is something that I'm like, man, there is money on the table for these guys. Triple H knows it. And eventually, we're going to see it unfold. So I'm here for the Lucha Brothers going to WWE. I wonder what they're going to be called. I'm curious as to all that. I'm looking, man, just talking licensing and stuff like that. I can't wait for some. I would wager they're going to do some sort of, unique matching like gear for when they go to WWE. And I just can't wait to see what that looks like. So we'll see. But it absolutely seems that they are going to WWE. I am curious when that's going to happen. You got Bad Blood, you've got the Saudi show, Survivor Series, and then I think, wow. Well, then you've got Saturday night. That's the genius part. November 30th is Survivor Series. December 14th, only 2 weeks later, is Saturday night's main event. And then the beginning of the year is Raw and Netflix. So you kind of have a couple of stopgaps between Survivor Series and, remember, Royal Rumble is February 1st next year. So a lot of time is going to pass between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. It's nice to have Saturday night's main event and a monster episode of Raw on Netflix debuting to get some cool matches, get some stories, debut some characters. So I like to think that the Lucha Bros would be around, at least if they don't debut by the Netflix first episode of Raw, that's when they would do it, is that first episode. So we'll see, but damn, they could if they're debuted by then, they could have a match hyped for that show, that Raw show on Netflix, and I think that would be badass. Another contract news note here. Seems that Kevin Owens was approached by WWE for a new contract. Unknown of the status, unknown of what he's thinking or where he's leaning, but it also has been reported that AEW is willing to play ball and throw their hat into the ring, proverbially, if that's a word. I don't know what the hell I just said. But I got to look at it this way. There is no doubt that Kevin Owens has carved himself quite the career in WWE. From going to NXT and having an immediate impact with the Sami Zayn stuff and dominating NXT, to then being one of the first guys to, be in NXT. He's the NXT champion. Goes to the main roster, quote unquote, and defeats John Cena on pay-per-view in his first match. I think that says a lot about where Kevin Owens' career was going to go. We've had him winning the Universal title because Triple H turned on Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens brought back Steve Austin for one more match at WrestleMania. And he also was with Sami Zayn teaming up to main event WrestleMania Night 1 again, this time against the Usos in winning the tag titles. So Kevin Owens has had quite the career in WWE thus far. He's very reliable, and he kills it in the ring. His promos are great. He's unbelievable backstage as a promo, like in segments and stuff. However, at some point, it's like, well, I don't know how high he can go now. I don't know if he'll ever get back to world title status. So that leads me to look at the other side of it. If Kevin Owens were to go to AEW, well, when I look at it like this, I think about it in regards to I've said AEW all along, just look at the announcers. Taz, former ECW wrestler, but WWE commentator and TNA commentator. Tony Schiavone, WCW and brief WWF commentary. And Excalibur, notable, independent, really, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla PWG announcer. You're getting the best of all worlds with the commentary. And I think that's what AEW brings you in general. You've got wrestlers that were, like, for instance, like Lance Archer, Lance Hoyt, TNA, like that. You've got, older ECW guys. You got Chris Jericho, who's a legend. You've got new AEW guys. You've got guys that came from WCW. You have legends, Dustin Rhodes. You got current guys that were in WWE before. You have new talent that's never been really anywhere that's been featured. You have literally people from all over any company throughout the history of wrestling, all under one umbrella. So in that PWG realm, where if you weren't around for like 2012 to 2018, 2019, like probably 2012 to the pandemic of PWG, they're still doing great stuff now. But those years, you had the likes of Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, El Generico, who may or may not be related to Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, formerly Kevin Steen, and the list goes on and on. Walter, Gunther, Keith Lee, Donovan Dijak. Like, a lot of talent went through PWG to get to where they are now. And, they had a faction called Mount Rushmore, which was, the Young Bucks, Kevin Owens, Adam Cole. So, to me, if you've got all those guys under contract, it would behoove of them, to benefit the card, to have a pre-existing, to some people, story, and put it straight on to TV if you brought in a guy like Kevin Owens. Now, of course, Roddy Strong and Super Dragon were involved in regards to, Mount Rushmore, but I think the Young Bucks, Kevin Owens, and Adam Cole could truthfully be Mount Rushmore. If KO went in, Cole got healthy, the Bucks went away from the Elite. Maybe that's how you set it up. Owens says, hey, we used to have something. Why can't we? Here's my thing. Watch any PWG show featuring Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, and you will see immediately why I think he would thrive in AEW. It's fresh faces to an extent, because if they wrestled on the independent scene, it's not likely that everybody has seen them wrestle, so there's some new matchups there. But just in general, it's more of an edgy product. There's more blood. Kevin Owens bled at Payback in Pittsburgh last September. Can't believe it's been a year since that event. Still waiting on that next WWE Pittsburgh show. But we'll talk about another Pittsburgh show coming up in a couple weeks here in a moment. But Kevin Owens, I think, would thrive in an AEW environment where it's not PG. It's not that he has to curse or has to bleed or, to be Kevin Owens or be Kevin Steen. But fight Owens, fight Steen, fight. It lives and dies by who he was in Ring of Honor in PWG before he went to WWE. So I would love to see the opportunity for him to do that. I've also been kind of curious, AJ Styles, and we'll talk about him in a little segment later on. I think he absolutely could finish his career in AEW if given the opportunity. Like Kevin Owens, he has carved quite the niche in career, in WWE, world champion again, like Kevin Owens, but also huge matches. The final Undertaker match in the Boneyard, like a lot of huge things happened for these guys that you tell me that AJ Styles is going to have Undertaker's final match in 06, 07 when AJ Styles was at his peak, or that Kevin Owens was going to bring Stone Cold Steve Austin back from retirement for a main event match at WrestleMania in 2012, 2013. I just said you're absolutely out of your mind. But they both happened. And I just think that, again, much like Kevin Owens, AJ Styles has, lack of a better term, reached a ceiling that I just don't think can go any higher. So if you want to finish your career out somewhere, and look, it's not that he couldn't just go somewhere and come back to WWE for a Hall of Fame thing. Absolutely. Any of those guys could. They've done a lot for WWE. They're allowed to test the waters. So I don't think it would hurt them at all. And I think it would be a fresh and fun atmosphere to get Kevin Owens into AEW. So I'm here for it. I would sign off on that. If it doesn't happen, so be it. I just don't know if he'll actually get to the level that he once had in WWE, but that doesn't mean he can't. I would just hope he does. But if not, the money's in AEW. Hey, do what you got to do, man. So I mentioned Pittsburgh shows. Let's talk about real quick from Dynamite. AEW 5-year anniversary of Dynamite taking place October 2nd in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, baby, at the Peterson Event Center. And a match has been announced for that show. And what is it? Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. My God. They've had matches in the past, of course. But even though they've had that, even though they've had these crazy matches before, and I'm trying to think when that match I think the first match happened in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, in New Japan. But I mean, this match, I know it took place in 2017 as well, so it's happened a few times. But the match they had in 2017, I think, was so well revered by every pundit, analyst, journalist, reporter, fan of pro wrestling that once AEW was going to get their hands on both these guys, it was inevitable that they would pull off this match. Here's the part where everybody lost their minds the other day on Twitter specifically. But Ricochet, Will Ospreay, you could set this match up for a pay-per-view 100%, and it would sell a lot of pay-per-views. But AEW likes to do what WCW used to do and likes to give away huge matches for free. And I don't hate that. Danielson Omega, Grand Slam, that was for free. Like, who cares? They could easily run that match back on pay-per-view at some point, when both guys are healthy. And I think the same goes with this match. Ospreay and Ricochet, they're not going to have just one match, and that's it. This is the first huge match between these two for AEW weeks after Ricochet debuts. So, to me, you have this match. I'm sure it's going to be unbelievable. And then you just say, all right, well, at some point down the line, you have a match again on pay-per-view, and you set it up as, whoever, let's say Will Ospreay wins this first match. Okay, Ricochet earns a shot to get another chance. That's it. That's as simple as that. He gets a chance in the rematch. Whoever wins, at some point, the loser will get another shot. So I don't see a problem with giving it away, quote-unquote, for free TV. We will talk about AEW here more in a moment. Let's get to WWE real quick. Then we'll talk AEW real quick. Hit a little this day in wrestling history. And then we'll close out with some Ask Juice. But let's do first, let's preview SmackDown tonight. We have a couple interesting notes. We're going to have a Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns meeting, as it were. They met at Georgia Tech the other night, and WWE cameras were there. Of course, Atlanta, which that is Cody Rhodes' hometown. That's also where Georgia Tech, the alma mater of Roman Reigns, is. It's all in the same place. And Atlanta is where Bad Blood takes place. And we finally got the news. It will be Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns taking on Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, The Bloodline, at Bad Blood, October 5th. A huge, huge match for Bad Blood. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the video of Cody and Roman at Georgia Tech produced. So that'll be interesting. I also would like to say, this is just a little note, but at this point, Jacob Fatu has usurped Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa was a huge deal when he first came in. He beat John Cena at Crown Jewel, or one of the Saudi shows. And by all accounts, had the rest in front of him. He had his world title match at SummerSlam. And that being said, now you look at it, and Jacob Fatu came in. It is so clear that Jacob Fatu is in the solo role, but even better, higher ranked. He's probably going to go against Roman Reigns either at Royal Rumble or Saturday Night's Main Event or on Raw on Netflix. It is what it is. Solo is not below Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa, but he's definitely below Jacob Fatu in the pecking order of the Bloodline 2.0. Another quick note about the Raw of it all. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. It might be too little too late on a breakup between the two New Day members, but I think we're going to get it soon, and I'm hyped. I'll take it even for one match. And I'm also here just to see what they do. Is Kofi going to actually turn heel on Woods? It seems like Woods is the guy that's going to turn, but I would love the old swerve and put Kofi in a heel spot turning on Woods. How dare he, for the New Day to finally split up after almost 11 years. But the other note for WWE, SmackDown tonight, we have a fatal... No, not a fatal four. It is a tag team match with 4 competitors. Bayley teaming up with Naomi to take on Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, where we also find out who will be the number 1 contender to the women's champion Nia Jax. So Tiffany Stratton, Stratton, Bayley, or Naomi, whoever receives the winning pinfall will be named Jax's challenger for Bad Blood. My question is, what if Nia Jax gets the pinfall? Does that mean Tiffany Stratton gets the shot? Does that mean nobody gets the shot? But I'm here for it. We also have a United States Championship match where Andrade became number 1 contender for the U.S. title after defeating his rival, Carmelo Hayes, in the 5th match of their series. So Andrade takes on L.A. Knight, to get his 2nd U.S. title, or will L.A. Knight complete his reign to a higher level? We're going to find out tonight. But SmackDown looking pretty good. Interesting stuff. Still 2 hours. But Bad Blood, as we sit here today, we've got 5 matches set. I would not hate one more match. We'll find out if they add it, though. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu in a tag team match. No stakes, though. Nia Jax defends her women's title against somebody. We'll find out potentially tonight. CM Punk, of course, taking on Drew McIntyre in the Hell in a Cell match. Damian Priest versus Finn Balor in a one-on-one grudge match. Rhea Ripley challenges Liv Morgan for the women's world title. Should be a fun night of action in Atlanta for Bad Blood. We're going to go quickly over the Grand Slam card before we delve into more. A quick note of this day in wrestling history, and then ending with Ask Juice. But yeah, we've got Grand Slam next week. And this is where it gets interesting. We've got 6 matches slated for the show. And we've got Jon Moxley taking on Darby Allin for the AEW World Title opportunity that Darby has. The winner will face Bryan Danielson for the World Title at Wrestle Dream in Tacoma. So, if it's Jon Moxley, which I kind of think it will be, will we see the end of Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream? Who knows? Young Bucks defend the AEW World Tag Titles against Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. Wow, that's going to be an unbelievable match. Jamie Hayter versus Saraya in a singles match. Open Challenge Trios match for the World Trios titles. Pac and the BCC, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli taking on, we don't know yet. Mariah May defends the AEW Women's World Title against Yuka Sakazaki. And then the dream match of all, Nigel McGuinness steps back into the ring one-on-one against the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Collision airing on tape delay, same venue though, on next Saturday the 28th. Hook defends his FTW title in an FTW rules match against Roderick Strong. So, wow, cannot wait to see what Grand Slam has to offer. Especially since the following episode of Dynamite is going to be in Pittsburgh. So Grand Slam and then the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite episode. I'm hyped for the next couple weeks of Dynamite for sure. And then Wrestle Dream, I believe 2 weeks after, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is October 12th. Yeah, so it's that following Saturday, 10 days after the show in Pittsburgh. So a lot of cool stuff going on in AEW. Let's end the show with a news and note from this day in wrestling history, September 20th, 2009. 15 years ago today. TNA, No Surrender 2009. I'm going to run down the card, but I remember this show for one particular match, and it's the main event. So we'll talk about it, though. We had 3 title changes on this night. Every match ended in a pin or submission. No terrible finishes. Sarita and Taylor Wilde defeated Madison Rayne and Velvet Sky. Hernandez defeated Eric Young. Samoa Joe defeated Christopher Daniels, who was known only as Daniels at this time. D'Angelo Dinero defeated Suicide. ODB defeated Cody Deaner. Kevin Nash defeated Abyss. Brother Devon, Brother Ray, James Storm, and Bobby Roode, Robert Roode, a.k.a. Beer Money. And Team 3D defeated Booker T, Brutus Magnus, Doug Williams, and Scott Steiner in Lethal Lockdown. Bobby Lashley defeated Rhino, and then the main event, a 5-way match for the TNA World Title. Matt Morgan, Hernandez, Sting, Kurt Angle, the champion, and the winner, AJ Styles, the aforementioned guy I brought up earlier, who I think could close his career out in AEW, or I would like to see that at least. But man, this match was great. I remember just the end being Sting having an opportunity to win the title in the center of the ring, chooses to dive to the outside and give AJ Styles the opportunity. AJ Styles hits the 450 splash, wins the world title. What a moment. Love that theme song. I am, you are. Sorry if the decibel levels just crushed your eardrums, but I love that theme song. Last but certainly not least now, let's do none other than Ask Juice. Hashtag Ask Juice. I always throw it to Wrestling Nation to give me some interesting questions. We're going to rapid fire some of these. What is your favorite Halloween candy? Theme / decoration and costume. Okay, Halloween candy. So I love Halloween. Halloween's my favorite holiday, I would say. Love this time of year. I'm a huge horror movie fan. What is your favorite Halloween candy? I'm going to go with Reese's Cups. Tried and true. The classic. Theme or decoration. I like a good, I don't know. The animatronic things are really cool. A jack-o'-lantern's always pretty classy. I like dimly lit candles in the windows, giving a spooky feel. I like, spider webs, like fake spider webs being hung up. And costume that I've ever done. I don't know. I've been Kurt Cobain for Halloween. I've been Michael Myers. I was Bob Barker previously. I was Life and handed out lemons at a college party. That was fun. I was Post Malone one year. I was also Barb from Stranger Things. After that first season aired, I think I like Barb maybe the most. It was the most fun because I felt that I pulled it off. I had to shave my entire face and had an interesting wig on, but I felt like I pulled off Barb pretty well. Kurt Cobain was always a fun one as well. I was also Justin LaBar for Halloween one year, which I felt was pretty cool. I made a David Allen tie. I had bald head. It was wonderful. Halloween Town, Hocus Pocus, or It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Halloween. I don't care for Halloween Town. I don't care about it. I was never a Disney guy. Hocus Pocus, it has Bette Midler. I'm a fan of it. It's okay. I'm more of a classic guy. I like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So I'm on board with that. In a Royal Rumble of slasher film characters, Josh Cross lists Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface, Ghostface, Chucky, and Billy from Black Christmas, etc. Who would win? Oh boy. This is tough. This is really tough. There aren't really any super tall characters, although Jason is a pretty tall guy in regards to getting them out of the ring for the Royal Rumble. This might have some recency bias, but based on the films I've seen thus far and the one that I'm going to see this October, I will probably back it up even more. I'm going to go with Art the Clown from the Terrifier series. One sick individual. What is the best non-Undertaker related Hell in a Cell match? Wow. Man, that is a very tough one. I mean, I'll tell you which one it's not. It's not Bray Wyatt versus or The Fiend versus Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell 2019, where I was there for that in Sacramento, California, 5 years ago, as a matter of fact, and it was the fans. We talk about the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite. That episode aired October 1st or one of those days, and the show for Hell in a Cell was that Sunday. People were chanting AEW when that show went off the air. It was something. I'd say the best Hell in a Cell that did not have Undertaker in it. It's tough. I'm gonna have a unique answer here. I'm gonna go with two matches because Undertaker is in damn near all of them. I'm gonna go with Triple H, Cactus Jack, No Way Out 2000, where Cactus got flipped, back body dropped through the top of the cell, like through the mat. It was insane. And I'll also choose Batista versus Triple H, Vengeance 05. I felt that was a really, really strong Hell in a Cell match, in my not so humble opinion. What are your top 5 entrance songs of all time? Good Lord. Also, I would say Seth and Cody with the bruised pec from a couple of years ago would rank high in the pantheon of Hell in a Cell matches, at least more recency. Top 5 favorite entrance songs of all time. I can't come up with a list off the top of my head, but I'm going to go with Sting, both the Crow Sting and the He's a Man Called Sting. Love that. Good Lord. All mine are going to be WCW. Like DDP's original WCW theme was great. I mentioned 3-6 Mafia earlier. I'll say Mark Henry's theme song was badass. Burning My Light, Randy Orton. If I can come up with one more. Kurt Angle's is always great, although that... Fun fact, the Patriot, Del Wilkes, used that theme song in 97 at In Your House Ground Zero against Bret Hart. Check that match out. You heard the Kurt Angle theme song 2 years before he debuts. So that's where I'm going to go with that. And I think the last one, what's your high score in bowling? Man, I could cop out with a Seinfeld answer. Could you make it 225? That was Dad's high score in bowling. I want to say it was 222. I think I bowled a 222, so pretty close to 225. But I have not bowled in a couple of years, maybe a year or two. And I used to bowl every week with friend of the show, best friend, Matt Presto. He will be on the Juice Box at some point soon. I can guarantee you, God willing, in the creek don't rise, that he will be on the show in 2025 for sure, because there are a lot of anniversaries and memories created 20 years ago from 2025. So he'll be on there. But Matt Presto and I were on a bowling team. What was I, 14 or 15 years old? And then I made states in bowling, traveled across the state for that when I was 16, and then that was it. I never bowled any longer than that in a league. I recreationally bowled now, and I'd like to, I spend all my time pretty much at work doing my real life job, and then in my spare time, I just try to do what I can, and I enjoy this podcast a lot, so I really don't want to take much away from that, but at some point I'd like to get into bowling again. Even if it's just once a week in a league, an adult league, I'd love to get back into it. So maybe at some point, but big bowling guy. Love watching it, love playing it. Wii Sports Bowling was a huge deal. We had a league for that back in the day. Always doing leagues. So that has been Ask Juice, and that has been the Juice Box here today. I know it came out a little later than anticipated, but it is what it is. We had the Wednesday episode of Main Event Maniacs, Cody Roman Part 1. Next week, Wednesday, we will get Cody Roman Part 2 from the Main Event Maniacs guys, Brian and Jay. Shout out to those guys for their contributions to the Juice Box programming schedule. SIP series being recorded later on, and it will be out to the world at some point, hopefully within this year. I would wager it is within this year. And we'll see what else happens. But as always, follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen, on Instagram at Juicy Wrestling Closet. Listen to the show on Spotify, juicysteen.podbean.com, Apple Podcasts via iTunes, Amazon Music, and at Juicy Steen on YouTube. Keep up to date with the RSS feed there, and any future videos will be posted to at Juicy Steen. So check that out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Juice Box, and check in next week. We'll review what happened on Grand Slam, as well as anything else that comes up between now and then. So I am Juice Springsteen. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next week for another edition of the Juice Box. That was the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to the Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.